What's going on, y'all? Give me 1 second. Really excited about tonight's stream. Like, really, really excited. When I There we go. All right, all right, all right. What's going on? It's Coach Nkrumah. We are back again tonight, and we're still in our series Aligned, the shift that makes everything change. The shift that makes everything change. Everything about your life change. Everything about your relation, about your businesses change. Just everything about your life changes when you get aligned. Tonight, what we're going to be talking about is how you became who you weren't. I mean who you are, who you're not. And I know that might sound crazy for somebody to tell you how you became who you're not, but that's a part of getting aligned. The first part of getting aligned is recognizing where you're misaligned. And the crux of alignment is identity. The crux of alignment is identity, and understanding that everything flows and starts with your identity, and from your identity is where everything else goes and where everything else flows. So as we're going to get started tonight, how you became who you're not. Now, what does that mean? That means that there is a true version of you. There is a version of you with untapped potential, with untapped gifts, with untapped qualities, with untapped power. There is a version of you buried deep beneath your survival instincts, buried deep beneath where you are what you were expected to be, buried deep beneath what your trauma made you, buried deep beneath what you had to be to survive your neighborhood. There's a version of you that once we peel back all of the layers is unstoppable. And that's the crux of what I teach is unstoppable alignment. Getting in alignment so deep that there's nothing that can stop you, because once you're flowing as the truest version of yourself, you're operating in purpose at a level where nothing can slow you down, because other people aren't even operating in their purpose. They're just living life, living through their programming and living their mundane experiences and going through their routines, and they're not operating with enough power to stop you, because once you tap into purpose, can't nothing stop you. God opens doors that no man can close and closes doors that no man can open. Hallelujah. But I just went back preaching real quick. There is an untapped version of you, and this is what I want to help you get to, but you cannot get there until you accept the fact that who you are is not who you are. Who you are is not who you are. It's who you became. It's like where I'm from, boy, it was rough. You had to be a fighter. You listen, I don't care if you wanted to be a fighter or not. You walk up in the schoolyard, or you go to the pool, or you just go to school, you're gonna have to turn into a fighter. Doesn't mean that that's who you are. Doesn't mean that's who you are. I watched people turn into killers who were the most timid people who didn't want no trouble, but the streets turned them into monsters. So, how you became who you're not. First thing, when we aren't intentional, we don't create our identity, we absorb it. We absorb it from trauma, from family, and from environment. But hear that again. When we aren't intentional, we don't create our identity, we absorb it. Now think about a sponge, right? A sponge is a sponge. But then if you pour dish detergent on it, or you pour water on it, or you pour bleach on it, or you pour any liquid on it, the sponge absorbs everything that's poured in it. And now it's not just a sponge anymore. It's a soapy sponge. It's a watery sponge. It's a bleachy sponge. It's whatever it is that you put on it. And that's how we are when we aren't intentional. Think about it. How often have you been intentional about identifying who you are? About self-identification. So if we're not intentional, we're not creating the identity. We're absorbing everything that happened to us. All right, oh, so this is what happened to me. So now this is the way I got to respond to make sure that don't happen to me no more. Oh, okay. So, this is what the ladies like. Okay, all right. So that's what I need to do to get the ladies. Oh, this is what my teachers want from me. Or this is what I got to do for the teachers. Oh, this is what my parents. And you have identified how to perform so well that you think your performance is you. Ooh. Imagine the actor coming off set and still thinking that they're the part that they were playing. That's how we are when we aren't intentional. You're acting out this role because this role is what you had to live out in order to survive, and now you're still living it be outside of survival mode. You don't need it to survive anymore, but you believe it's who you are. Now, most people don't realize this, that you didn't choose who you became, you adapted into it. You absorbed your environment. You inherited your family's fears. You learned to survive by shape-shifting. You learn how to be liked. You learn how to stay safe, how to succeed in the world that you were raised in, even if that version of you has nothing to do with the true you. You had to survive life. So you figured out, ooh, this is how I have to survive here. And oftentimes we think about this simply as the hood. But nah, no matter where you are you in the suburbs, how do you have to behave to survive there? How do you have to behave in order to be liked there? Because humans want to be liked. Humans want to have friends. Nobody wants to be in isolation. So how do I have to behave? How do I have to dress? What are some of the interests I have to have? Please believe me, everybody don't have the same interests. Everybody seems to have the same interest in the same TV shows and the same movies and the same clothes and the same this and the same that. Everybody don't. People are doing that because everybody is absorbing who they are through everything around them. Now, you've absorbed so much stuff from when you were a child. Now you're grown, you're still wearing the armor that protected you as a child. You're still running the script that was written to be who you needed to be all your life. But that's not identity, that's adaptation. You're still reading that script. Oh, this is who I need to be in order to have friends, and this is who I need to be in order to get intimate partners, and this is who I need to be in school in order to get good grades, and this is who I need to be in order to move up in church, and this is who I need to be in order to get a promotion at my job, and this is who I need to be. And you never recognize, because we're not being intentional, you never recognize all of the different things that you are absorbing that are becoming a part of you that is not you. So when we aren't intentional, we don't create our identity, we absorb it. Now, this is what I want to ask you as we're talking about alignment, right? What are you aligned with? Because I'm talking about getting into alignment. Do you think you're in alignment, or do you not think that you are in alignment? This is what I want you to understand. And this is why this is so important. You're never out of alignment. You're just in alignment with your false self. You're always aligned with something. You're always aligned with some kind of identity. Typically, we're just not identified with, we're not aligned with the truest version of who we are because we've never asked that question. So people think they're just scattered or they're inconsistent because they're not receiving the things that they want in life, but that's not it. You're actually very consistent with the identity that was built under pressure. Of course you can't complete tasks. You've been running your whole life. A part of your identity is anytime we see something that might trigger us or might make us think there's something violent that's going to happen, that we need to run and get away. I watched this woman tell this story, right? This is how messed up we are. Now she was pretty good overweight. She's trying to lose weight, so she's out running. She says she decided that she's going to sprint. So as she's sprinting, she says she sees a guy that's laying on a bench. The guy looks at her, sees her sprinting. She runs by him. He gets up and he starts running behind her. She's like, I start running faster, trying to get away from him, but he's faster than me. He catches me, but then he goes past me. Then I go another direction. I take off running. I look back. He's running behind me again. She said, I'm trying to run fast to get away from him, but he catches me again. He out of breath. And he said, hey, what we running from? She said, I was running from you. So I thought something was happening. We think it's funny, right? That anytime a black person sees somebody running that they don't even ask no questions, they take off running. That is how traumatized we have been. That becomes a part of our identity. We run from anything that seems like it may harm us, even if it's not, because that is what we have had to live our entire existence. So you're in alignment with your false self, the one that was shaped by pain, by fear, by expectations or control. That's why you keep hitting the same walls, attracting the same relationships, repeating the same patterns. It's not random. It's loyalty to a version of you that was designed by your life's experience. 9 times out of 10, if you tell me what your life was like, I can tell you what you're like. Because we're not intentional. So everything you had, and we say that. I talked to my friends about this, and they all disagree. Man, we was all on FaceTime arguing. We constantly say the streets made me who I am today. Everything I've been through made me who I am today. And I said, that's not good. It's not good to be made by your trauma. In fact, in my book, The Power of Choice, I have a whole chapter in that titled, You Can't Let the Trauma Make You. And I said to my friends, you know why I can prove that the streets making us or our pain making us isn't a good thing? I said, why? I said, because we all try to keep our children from the pain that we experienced. If that pain and that trauma was such a good thing, we'd allow our kids to go through that pain and trauma. But no, we don't want our kids to go through everything we went through. We try to keep them from it because we know it's not good. But since we went through it and now made it part of our identity, we don't want to let go or call the negative parts of our lives bad because we identify with it. Ooh, what negative parts of your life are you identifying with? Oh, that's just how I am. That ain't how you are. That's what happened to you. That's not who you are. That's what happened to you. This is a result of what happened to you. What are you aligned with? Are you aligned with a pure version of yourself, or are you aligned with a version of yourself that had to adapt to everything in life? Now, just like with alignment, we think that our habits are our problem, but the problem isn't your habits, it's who your habits are loyal to. It's who your habits are loyal to. Just like the alignment. You're aligned with this old version of you. And now you have all of these habits that are connected to the old version of you. And you're trying to change your habits without changing the person. Those habits belong to that version of you. So if you stay that version of you, those habits are always going to come back. you you cannot change habits without changing the person. If you are still the same individual with the same neurons firing in your brain and the same synapse in your brain, and your brain is still lighting up the same way, and you still have the same neural pathways in your brain, you're still that same person. No matter how many 21 days you try to work yourself into a new habit, you're going to fall back into the old habit, because the new habit that you're trying to live up does not belong to that old version of you, and the old version of you can't keep up with those new habits. So that old version of you is going to go back to the old habits. The habits aren't the problem, your identity is. And I know I'm sounding real negative, but we're going to get to shifting and changing our identity. All right. I just need you to understand how crucial it is for us to self-identify and become a different person, because when you become a different person, you get different results. So now you can try to wake up early, you can meditate, you could journal, you could build discipline, but if those habits are tied to an identity that doesn't serve you, they will collapse. And then you're upset because you're failing, but you're not failing because you're lazy or because you're not good enough or because there's something wrong with you. You're failing because your habits are working against your truth. Every time you try to evolve, your subconscious brings you back into agreement with who you used to be. Literally, and I talked about this probably a week or two ago. Literally, when you start to try to evolve, it sends your nervous system in a panic, and your nervous system, in conjunction with your brain, in conjunction with your enteric nervous system, they all come together to try to bring you back to the old you. So if you're not doing the work to rewire your brain, rewire your nervous system, and rewire your enteric nervous system, no matter what you do, your subconscious is going to take you back to the old version of you. You have to program your subconscious to be this new individual even before you become it. And once you begin to program the subconscious will then create the habits that you need for a new life. I hope that's making sense to you. Now, the issue isn't just action, it's allegiance. And you can't receive a new life because you are loyal to the old you. Everything about you is loyal to the old you. That's why you stay loyal to the same friends. And that's why you stay loyal to the same places that you visit. That's why you stay loyal to the same things you put in your mind and you put in your ears. That's why you stay loyal to relationships that you shouldn't be in. You're staying loyal to all of these things that aren't good for you because they match that old identity. Listen, once somebody changed their identity, things change. Think about it like this. Let's say somebody was a smoker. They smoke a bunch of weed. I'm a weed smoker. But then they change their identity. I don't smoke no more. I'm not a weed smoker no more. Guess what? They ain't gonna be around the weed smoke every day no more. Once they change that identity, you think somebody who professes to be a vegan is eating meat? No. Once you change that, I keep talking to you about that I am. Once you change that I am, everything about your life changes. That's why being aligned is the shift that changes everything. Once you say I am X, Y, and Z, everything about your actions, your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, your moods are now going to shift towards whatever the I am is. But we have had an I am that we did not decide to have for so long that we keep trying to change things in our life without changing who we have been loyal to. Now I have to be loyal to this new version of me. I am whatever that next thing is. Hope y'all getting this. Now, this is why most goals fail that we're trying to get. Most goals fail. I know this might be sounding redundant, but I need y'all to get this. Most goals fail because you set them for an identity that you aren't living. You set goals for a version of you that don't even exist. So you've decided you want to be this $1 million person, but you're living a $50,000 a year life. You got a $50,000 a year identity, but you set goals to make $1 million. Your identity is not going to let you make it. So you're setting these big goals, and those goals are actions. Those goals are tasks. Those goals are dreams. Those goals are achievements or accomplishments you want. But guess what? This version of you cannot accomplish goals because those goals are not for the person that you are. Now, you're not crazy for failing at something that you thought you wanted. The version of you that set that goal just was still operating from wounds, from fear, from ego. And that version of you didn't have the capacity to carry that goal. Goals require alignment, not just effort. You have, see, y'all know I'm a little crazy. So like I visualize everything. So I always like and visualize this light in the middle here. Like that's my center. That's my alignment. And everything that I want, I have to bring it. I want something over here. I need to be in alignment with that. It's not just the effort. Everything about me has to be flowing in that direction. Sometimes you want things that you're not flowing in the direction of. Everything in your life is going to the left, but you're saying you want something that's on the right. Now, you can want something beautiful and still not be built for it yet. That doesn't mean it's not yours. It means the you who can hold it hasn't been fully activated yet. Now, the true you on the inside is showing you this life. And that's where your goals come from. That's where your dreams come from. These big dreams come from the true you that's on the inside. And it's saying, but I need you to activate me. I need you to let me free so we can live that life, because this false you is keeping me down and keeping us from living this life. That's why self-work matters so much. You don't need to change just to be this better version of you. You need to upgrade to match your calling. Let me start with this. There's a difference between a prophet and someone who prophesied. Anybody can get a word from God and give a prophecy, but not just anybody can walk in the office of a prophet. There's a difference between giving a prophecy, getting that word and speaking that word right then and now, but you just a regular Joe Schmo. And guess what? You're going to go back to being Joe Schmo. It's a difference when you walk in the role of the prophet. So yes, sometimes you can attain something. You can attain some goals. You can get some stuff right, but it's going to be hard for you to ever walk in the role if you're not walking as the person. You're not just somebody who prophesied. You got to get to the point where you say, I am a prophet. It's a big difference between somebody who prophesied and somebody who is a prophet. The life looks different. The walk looks different. The talk looks different. What they think look different. What they believe look different. They're totally different people. They might have did the same thing one time, but one person can repeat it over and over and over again because they are walking in it. Now you have this dream. Now anybody can get a part of the dream, but can you walk in the office of your dream? Woo! Told you I was excited about this. We almost getting there. We getting there. Getting to the end. Now, just real quick, I want to talk about, just to put a ribbon on this thing. Inherited identity versus aligned identity. Now, there's a difference between the version of you that was passed down and the version that was placed inside you. The Bible says that God created man from the dust of the earth. And then it says, and God breathed the Ruach into his nostrils, and man became a living being. God put that spirit inside of him that made Adam, Adam. Before the fall, before eating of the fruit, before bringing the sin in the world, he was Adam. He was what God breathed into him. Now, before we are born, once we are conceived, that same God breathed into you. He breathed into you your purpose. He breathed into you your calling. He breathed into you your true identity. He breathed into you your anointing. He breathed into you your spirit. And there's a difference between the version of you that was created by life and the version that was breathed into you by God. Inherited identity is the one you picked up from your parents, from your hood, from your school, from your pain. It's built on what you were told you had to be to belong or survive. Aligned identity is different. It's your I am. It's the version of you that matches the assignment that God put on you. It's the version of you that matches the assignment. The one that doesn't have to pretend or perform. But here's the thing. You can't meet that version of you until you're willing to leave behind the one you thought you had to be. That's why I'm spending so much time tonight, and it might seem negative. Like you just telling us what we ain't. No. I need you to get to a point where you say, I gotta take this old me off. I gotta take this old me off. So if you've been listening tonight and you see yourself in any of this that I've been saying, if you're realizing that the version of you you've been operating from isn't the real you, I want you to know this. You're not broken. You're just misaligned, and you can fix that. Alignment is not some magical state reserved for a chosen few. It's a decision. It's a shift, and it starts with awareness. So if you're wondering how to start realigning with who you truly are and who you were created to be, I'm going to give y'all 3 quick steps that you can take right now. 1, sort of kind of what we dealt with tonight. Tell the truth about who you've been. Before you can become who you really are, you got to get radically honest about the version of you you've been operating from. That means taking off the mask, not just for the world, but for yourself. Who have you been performing as to get love, to feel safe, or to be accepted? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about acknowledging that most of us never got to build ourselves from truth. We build ourselves from trauma, from conditioning, and pressure to survive. If you've been the fixer, the overachiever, the people pleaser, the tough one, the quiet one, the self-sacrificer, start asking, did I choose this? Or did I become this because it worked? Did I become this because doing this worked? That question alone can change everything, because when you start to see that your personality was shaped under pressure, you finally give yourself permission to explore who you are without the pressure. And once you tell the truth about who you've been, you can finally stop trying to force change from the outside in. You realize the goal is not to upgrade the false self, it's to return to the real one that God breathed inside of you. And that starts with truth. You can't align with your authentic self if you're still hiding behind a version of you that was built for survival. I want you to get this out of your vocabulary. That's just how I am. No, you ain't gotta be. You ain't gotta be. It's a better version of you that's not like that you can tap into. Step 1, tell the truth. Let's be radically honest about who we've been performing as. Next thing, pay attention to what drains you versus what feeds you. Now, I talked about your nervous system and all of that. Or we're gonna do some classes that's gonna get deep into the science of this, because there's so many levels to this. Like, a lot of times when you're feeling off or you feel a certain kind of way, like, there are physiological reasons why this is happening. So we're gonna get into that another live. Now, your body always knows when something is off, even when your mind is still trying to justify it. Now, most of us, we just ignore the signs. We call it tiredness or burnout, anxiety, or it's just part of life. But those signals are deeper. That dread in your chest before work, that tightness in your shoulders when you're around certain people, that constant low vibration that you can't explain, that's your system reacting to misalignment. Start tracking that. When do you feel light? When do you feel heavy? What activities energize you even after a long day? And what drains you even when it's supposed to be easy? Like, take track of these things. What people bring out the version of you that feels most alive, and what situations make you feel like you're disappearing? Now, these aren't like surface level observations. They're soul level indicators. Your nervous system knows the truth before your mind can even catch up. Once you become aware of this, you stop pushing through what's killing your spirit. You start honoring what your body already knows. Alignment always has a rhythm to it. It's not resistance free, but it flows. And when you're in alignment, you stop needing willpower to have to move forward. If you got to force yourself to do something, you're not in alignment. Because when you're in alignment with it, you're just going to flow. You're just fueled by the resonance of what you're doing. You stop asking, can I keep doing this? And you start asking, do I even want to? That shift, see, when you get stuck, right, you misalign, and you like, man, can I keep? You doing stuff that that's just not a part of your spirit. Can I keep doing this? And you just keep doing it. But then when you start getting aligned, you start saying, dude, is this something I even want to do? Is this something I'm even supposed to do? So the second thing is, pay attention to what drains you versus what feeds you. And when you recognize the things that are draining you, get rid of those things. Get away from those things. Get away from those people. Get away from those places. Get rid of those things that drain you, and get closer to the things that feed you, the things that make you feel light, the things that make you feel fulfilled, the things that make you feel purposeful, the things that make you feel joy and love, or any high vibrational emotion. Gravitate towards the things that feed you. Lastly, start choosing from your truth, not your programming. If we are not intentional, again, as I started in the beginning, we don't choose our identity, we absorb it. So that absorption becomes a program. You're programmed to go left and go right. You're programmed to live this way and live that way. You're programmed to want this and want that. You're programmed to think this is corny and this is cool. And you're living on an autopilot program. But we want to break that. So I want you to start choosing. This is the last step right here. And it's more. I just wanted to give you 3 things that you can just start doing today. Start choosing from your truth, not your programming. Now, every day you're presented with choices. And most of the times we don't realize how many of those decisions are still being made by a wounded part of us. We're saying yes when we want to say no. We're committing to things out of guilt, out of fear, or insecurity. We're staying in situations, jobs, relationships, and environments because the programming taught us to keep the peace and not rock the boat. But that version of us isn't the decision maker anymore once we start to choose our truth. From this point forward, I want you to pause before you act. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it's in line with who I am, or because I'm trying to avoid abandonment, judgment, or discomfort, or because it's what I've always done? When you start making decisions from your truth, you'll lose some things, but everything you gain will be real. everything you gain will be yours. You'll gain peace that doesn't disappear after the applause ends. You'll gain a sense of power that doesn't rely on pressure, and you'll gain a life that actually feels like yours. This is how alignment begins, not with some grand reinvention, but with small, quiet decisions that start to build a new core you. Choosing differently in these moments choosing differently in the moments that matter, listening to your spirit over your fear, and understanding that you don't have to earn the right to be yourself. You just have to stop betraying it. You have to stop betraying the self. If this hit something in you tonight, that wasn't by accident. Y'all know I'm spiritual, so you got to take the spiritual with me. I know I'm personal development, but I'm a Christ believing preacher, teacher, lover of God. You are being called back to your truth. You've been loyal to a version of yourself that's it's done its job, but that job is over now. It's time to meet the version of you that's built for peace, for purpose, and for power. And I'm going to help you get there. So I want y'all to follow. Those who aren't following me, stay tapped in. Join my Facebook group, Killing Yesterday, the movement, so we can go deeper because you're not too far gone. You're just one real decision away from the life that's already waiting on you. How you became the person that you aren't. Mm. How you became the person that you aren't. I'll see y'all tomorrow night at 8.